It's been a rough morning. Your baby hasn't stopped fussing. You haven't slept properly in days. You've tried every trick you know. And then, out of nowhere, a stranger at the checkout counter glances over, and your baby erupts into the most radiant, open smile you've seen all week. You laugh along, but underneath that laugh, something quietly hurts. Why is my child so easy with someone they've never met when I can barely get a grin out of them today? If that moment has ever landed on you, this video is going to reframe it completely. Because the real explanation isn't what most parents assume. And once you hear it, you may find yourself feeling something unexpected, not hurt, but genuinely moved. Welcome back. This channel is dedicated to one purpose, making sense of what's actually happening inside your baby's developing mind. Today, we're unpacking one of the most emotionally loaded and least understood moments in early parenthood. Why infants sometimes appear more relaxed, more cheerful, even more engaged with a complete stranger than with the person who has given them everything. The science behind this is genuinely fascinating. And the conclusion, most parents don't get through it dry-eyed. Let's start with what's actually going on neurologically when your baby encounters a new face. Here's something most people have never been told. Babies arrive in this world essentially functioning as little scientists. From their very first days, the brain has a single overriding priority: gather information, observe patterns, build a model of how the world operates. And the most important subject they study, far above anything else, is people. Now here's the crucial piece. When your baby looks at your face, their brain already has an extensive record on you. Your particular voice, your scent, the way your expressions move, your rhythms and routines. You are known. You are mapped. You are categorized as safe. But when a stranger leans into their field of view, the brain responds in an entirely different way. An unfamiliar face, a new voice, a different set of expressions to analyze. The visual processing centers activate more intensely. Attention sharpens. The whole system essentially signals, incoming new data, prioritize this. That smile your baby offers the stranger? It isn't affection. It's fascination. Here's where it gets even more interesting. A study examining infant smiling behavior at 2 and 3 months of age compared how babies responded to their mothers versus to unfamiliar adults. The findings genuinely surprised researchers. Female infants, in particular, smiled measurably more often at the stranger than at their own mother, not at one age, but at both ages tested in the study. Not because they preferred the stranger, but because the stranger activated something that a familiar face no longer could: novelty. Developmental scientists refer to this as the recognition assimilation process. When your baby's brain encounters your face, it identifies it almost instantly and moves forward. There's nothing left to figure out. But a stranger's face is an unsolved problem. And infant brains are deeply, almost compulsively drawn to unsolved problems. Here's an analogy that might help. Think about a book you've read so many times it's worn at the spine. You love it. It brings you comfort. But hand someone a book they've never opened before and watch their eyes. That alertness, that eagerness, that's not disloyalty to the familiar book. That's just what newness does to a curious mind. Your face is that beloved, well-worn book. Your baby has simply already absorbed every word. But there's a layer beneath all of this, and this is the part that tends to genuinely shift how parents see these moments. Attachment researchers have spent decades investigating exactly this question. Why do infants sometimes appear more at ease around unfamiliar people? And the answer keeps coming back to one concept: emotional safety. Think carefully about what your relationship with your baby actually involves. You are their entire emotional universe. Every fear they experience, every discomfort, every unmet need, all of it points toward you. You are the one they turn to when the world becomes too much. That is not a small role. That is the most significant relationship in their existence. With a stranger, none of that weight is present. No history, no accumulated needs, no expectation. The stranger is simply interesting, low stakes, easy to engage with because nothing real is on the line. Put plainly, your baby cries with you because you are the only person they trust completely enough to fall apart in front of. Pioneering researchers in attachment theory mapped out exactly how this unfolds across the first year of life. In the earliest weeks, roughly the first 6 to 8 weeks, babies are what the research calls indiscriminate. Almost any calm, attentive person can offer them comfort. A stranger can soothe them nearly as effectively as a parent. That's normal and expected. Between around 6 weeks and 8 months, things begin to shift. Babies start distinguishing familiar faces from unfamiliar ones. They develop clear preferences for their caregivers. But full attachment hasn't yet solidified, so new faces still generate genuine curiosity. The cashier still gets the smile. Then, somewhere in the 8 to 12-month window, the landscape changes dramatically. Stranger wariness sets in. That same baby who once beamed at everyone now presses against you the instant an unfamiliar face appears. And here's the irony. This is usually when parents finally feel chosen, finally feel preferred, because now the preference is obvious and unmistakable. But here's what the science actually tells us. Both of these phases are healthy. Both are exactly what a normally developing brain is supposed to do. Neither one is a warning sign. Both are evidence of a mind growing precisely as it should. So when does this actually warrant concern? In almost every case, a baby who smiles freely at strangers is showing you something positive, healthy social engagement, and a secure enough foundation to be curious about the world. What attachment researchers point to as meaningful is something called the secure base behavior. A well-attached baby will explore freely. They'll smile at new people, take in new environments, but they periodically return their attention to you. A quick glance, a momentary reach, a brief look that seems to ask, "You're still there, right?" That small gesture of checking back is your signal. If your baby engages with a stranger but still seeks you out visually for reassurance, that is a textbook picture of secure attachment. The stranger is an interesting detour. You are where they live. What's worth noting to a pediatrician is a different and consistent pattern, not a single moment, but an ongoing absence of interest in connecting with you specifically. Persistent avoidance of eye contact, a general lack of engagement across all interactions. A single cheerful moment with a stranger tells you nothing on its own. It's always the full picture over time that matters. Let's close with something concrete. First, stop measuring yourself against the stranger. When your baby smiles at an unfamiliar face and fusses with you, it isn't because the stranger is doing something better. It's because you carry more of their emotional world than any stranger ever will. The comparison isn't even fair. Second, let strangers be useful. If you're out somewhere and your baby is unsettled, a kind stranger's face can genuinely help calm them. That's not a parenting failure. That's understanding your baby's neurology and using it wisely. Third, watch for the glance back. The next time your baby lights up for someone new, observe what happens in the seconds that follow. If they look back at you even briefly, that tiny movement is them telling you everything. You're still the center. Everything else is just exploration. Fourth, bring novelty into your daily interactions. Because babies are hardwired to respond to what's new, you don't have to compete with strangers, you can simply vary what you offer. A new expression, a different angle, an unexpected sound during play. You can be the familiar safe place and still spark that same bright-eyed curiosity. So the next time you're standing there exhausted and a stranger gets the smile you've been working for all day, try to see it differently. Your baby isn't choosing someone over you. Your baby is feeling secure enough, grounded enough, safe enough to be genuinely curious about the world around them. That security didn't appear on its own. You built it. Every feeding, every middle of the night response, every moment you showed up when they needed you. The stranger gets a smile. What you get is something that can't be replicated and can't be taken. You get to be home. If this helped you see your baby and yourself a little more clearly, subscribe. Every week, we go deeper into the real psychology behind your child's world. See you next time.